Good night everyone, Richard Wong here. Today we are going to have a look at this 7Artisans 50mm f1.1 lens for Leica M cameras. So there are not that many fast 50mm lens for Leica M mount cameras. So that's why when the lens was announced, it generated a lot of interest. And as I'm also a Leica M shooter, so I'm also quite interested in this lens, and that's why I want to have a look at this lens and share with you some of my findings and pictures I took with this lens. First, let's talk about the build quality. Because it's made of metal, it weighs about 400-ish grams, which is actually quite heavy for M mount lens. So while I say it's quite heavy, but when I mount it on the M6, it actually feels quite good, quite nice, and I don't really feel front heavy when I'm shooting with the M6. So the rangefinder coupled focusing ring has around 90-degree travel. The focusing ring is pretty smooth. And then the aperture ring at the front is a declicked aperture ring, and it also feels pretty smooth. Apart from at one of the position, I do feel there's a little bit of how to describe it? Is it like there's a little bit of resistance certainly at one of the position. It's very subtle, so you may not actually feel it. But yeah, that's something I feel. Apart from that, it's a very smooth aperture ring as well. But I do wonder why they put a declicked aperture ring on an M mount lens, and I did email them and ask them why is it, and the reply I got back is that, oh well, it's better for people shooting video. Of course, that's true. Maybe they're expecting a lot of users using this lens to shoot video. So I suggest to them maybe in the future consider making a switchable aperture ring. So what I mean is that switch between the normal the normal with clicked mode and then also with a declicked mode. So the user can choose whether they want it to be declicked or the normal mode with clicks. Otherwise, maybe they can consider making just two versions, one with a declicked aperture ring and the other one with normal aperture ring with clicks. So they did reply me, and they said they would definitely consider the later option for their future products. So that's definitely a good news. One thing I do notice is that the bottommost part of the lens has a slightly different color and the coating compared to the rest of the lens. I'm not too sure if you can see in the video because the difference is actually quite subtle. So most people probably wouldn't even notice it, but yeah, I do notice the difference in the color and the coating. So it's very minor, as I said, but it does give the lens a slightly unpolished or maybe prototype-ish feeling. So the lens has a 55mm front filter thread, which is actually quite wide for Leica M mount lens. And if you look at it from the side, you see the body of the lens is pretty much like a cylinder. The side of it is straight down. Compare it with, say, the Leica Nautilus. The Nautilus, I think it is a bit wider. But if you look at the Nautilus, when the body and when the lens body get close to the lens mount, it actually goes in quite a bit. But this 7Artisans lens doesn't have the same design, and the problem is that because it goes straight down, when I want to press the lens release button here, it is a little bit tricky because yeah, my finger cannot access this button easily, and I don't actually have a very big finger. So if you have a big finger, then you may find it even more trickier. To be honest, it's not a biggie because you will be able to figure out how to do it, maybe using your smaller finger, or somehow you can just get into an angle and you can still press it. But yeah, it's just something I noticed when I start using this lens. The lens doesn't come with any lens hood, but it does come with a metal lens cap. I quite like the metal lens cap because it feels very solid, and it fits pretty much perfectly onto the lens. It's not too tight and it's not too loose, so I never have to worry about it may get loosened when I'm holding, even I'm holding it upside down. So that's definitely very good. It also comes with a focusing tab that you can stick onto the lens if you want to. It has a double-sided tape at the bottom of the focusing tab. So yeah, if you want, you can just stick it onto the focusing ring, and yeah, you can have the thumb tab for your focusing ring. So overall, I'm quite happy with the build quality of the lens, especially consider the price. I think 7Artisans definitely did a very good job and definitely give you good value for money. Next, let's talk about the image quality, and maybe we start with the sharpness first. At f1.1 is definitely not a very sharp lens, as you can see in my photo that I put it here. Even at the center at f1.1 is quite soft. There's quite a bit of glow, and the contrast dropped quite a bit compared to the normal photo. But if you stop down to f1.4, then it improved quite a bit. The image become much sharper. Most of the glow already disappear, and the contrast become much better as well. So yeah, if you worry about sharpness, then yeah, shoot at f1.4 onwards. So let's look at the corner sharpness. At f1.1, it's pretty much like the center. It's very soft with quite a bit of glow and low contrast. Yeah, you have to slow it down quite a bit. At around f2.8, then the image becomes sharper. But if you want decent sharpness, you do have to stop down to around f4. Now, if you do stop down further, the image sharpness, the corner image sharpness just still never become very good. So this is probably not the best lens if you want edge-to-edge sharpness. For example, if you are shooting landscape photos, then this is probably not the best lens for you, because it doesn't deliver really good edge-to-edge sharpness even when you stop down. At f1.1, even though I said it's quite soft, but if I'm shooting portrait, actually I quite like it, because the softness and the glow and the low contrast actually add a bit of vintage look to the photo, and personally I quite like it. So yeah, if I'm shooting portrait, I definitely wouldn't worry if I'm shooting at f1.1. Next, let's look at the vignetting. At f1.1, it has very strong vignetting. You don't even need to shoot with a plain background. Even if you're shooting on the street or somewhere with busy background, you would still see the vignetting at f1.1. You have to stop down to around f2.8 to get rid of most of the vignetting. And from f4 onwards, then the vignetting is not really a problem. So again, depends on what you are shooting. If you're shooting portrait, then f1.1 with the strong vignette, you probably wouldn't mind, and you may actually prefer the strong vignetting as well. But yeah, if you are shooting something that you don't want vignetting, then definitely stop down a bit. Now for a fast 50mm lens, the bokeh is something that can either make or break the lens. Because if you have ugly bokeh, then yeah, it doesn't matter that you can melt the background and the picture still look pretty ugly. For this 7Artisans lens, I quite like the bokeh that the lens render. I probably wouldn't call it the creamy type bokeh, because you can see a little bit of halo around the edge of the bokeh. It does give the photo a little bit of special look when you combine it with the softness at f1.1. As I said before, it's just some, I call it a vintage look. Personally, I like it. I like the bokeh from this lens. It just has some special character. Now, I checked the user manual and also the official website, and also did a bit of Google search. I couldn't figure out whether the lens has any special coating on it, and looking at the lens, I can't really tell whether it has any special coating on it. So that got me a bit worried, because I'm not too sure the lens flare resistance would be any good. I was a bit worried it would be really bad. Fortunately, after using it and shooting it under many different lighting condition, I have to say the lens flare resistance is actually not too bad. It's not as good as, say, a Nikon lens with the nano coating, but it's definitely not terrible as well. Most of the photo I shoot with a strong light source in front of camera. I do only get a little bit of lens flare. It's never get too bad, and the contrast never drop too much because of lens flare. Now this lens has a pretty nice feature. In the box it actually comes with a focusing chart, and if you turn it around, there's instruction that tell you how to adjust the focus, and it even comes with a screwdriver for you to do that. So basically, if you look at the back of the lens, there are a couple of little screws there. So if you unscrew it, then you can turn the this part a little bit, rotate it a little bit, and then you tighten it up. Then that's how you adjust, fine-tune the focusing. So you just need to take a photo, following the instruction, and then using the focusing chart, and then you check the photo, just see if it's front or back focus, and then follow the instruction, and then you adjust the rear part slightly, and then you tighten it up, and then you shoot again, and normally after 3 or 4 times, and then you should be able to get the focus completely spot on. So for my copy, the focus is actually pretty much spot on already when I receive it. Now I had I just came back from a holiday trip to Australia, and before that I thought, okay, maybe even though I think the focusing is pretty good, I thought, oh, okay, maybe I should just do a little bit of adjustment, just check it and adjust it so I can get it like 100% perfect. So I do the follow the instruction, I adjust it a little bit, tiny bit, and I thought, okay, that's great. So I got it come pretty good. So I went to Australia with my M6, and I took this lens as well, and I shot 1 roll of film with this lens only, and most of the photo I shot at f1.1 because I just want to see how the photo looked like when I shooting at wide open. Now I just got back the photos and I had a look at it, and unfortunately pretty much all the photos are out of focus, and so I was checking it and just wondering why is it, and my conclusion is that when I adjust fine-tune the focus, I actually make the lens is now front focus, and quite a bit front focus, and that makes all my photos not in focus. So let me be clear, this is not a problem of the lens or the focusing adjustment instruction or the feature itself. It's just a user error. It's just my own problem. It's just my mistake. I didn't do it properly, and I didn't check the result before I went for the holiday, and because of that I screwed up the adjustment and didn't notice it, and so I completely ruined my whole roll of film. So yeah, so if you want to fine-tune the focus, do it, but just remember to double check the result after you did it. Otherwise you have the same painful experience like me. But yeah, as I said, this is completely a user error. This is completely my problem. So overall, I quite like this lens. This is not a technically perfect lens. So if you are just buying your first Leica M camera and buying your first lens that you are going to use every day, then I probably wouldn't recommend this lens for you. I don't think this is the best lens for everyday use. But if you already have another lens and you're just looking for a fast lens for portrait or for a bit of different look, then you definitely should check out this lens, because despite the issues that I talk about, the softness at f1.1 doesn't have a click aperture ring, and it's slightly hard to reach the lens mount release button. For the price is only 380, I think it's around 380 US dollar. It's definitely very good value for money. The build quality is pretty decent. I love I love how it rendered photo at f1.1. It has a very special look that looks very nice as long as you manage to get your focus correctly. And it comes with things like a nice metal landscape, the focusing tab, and allow you to fine-tune your focusing. So yeah, that's definitely a very good value for money lens. So if you're interested in this lens, I put the link to their website in the description field. So yeah, go check out their website and read more about this lens. And thank you for watching this review. I hope you like this review. Please give it a like if you like this review. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, because I do have a lot of reviews and other photography related videos coming very soon. So thank you again for watching this video, and good luck everyone. See you next time.